shades of black. Anyway, so there I am, sitting with my new best friend, and Zoltan the Wolfman comes right up to me and he says, "Have you ever heard a wolf howl up close?" Why, of course, I live in the suburbs of Virginia. We hear wolves howling all the time. No, I have not heard a wolf howl up close. And Zoltan says, then he tips his head back and he goes, "Oh!" Now at this point I'm a little perplexed because I've never heard a man howl up close. But beside me, my new best friend. And so Zoltan again tips his head back. "Oh!" And this time my new best friend tips his head back and he starts to howl. Nothing like a dog howl, it's just one pure note. And all around me, every single wolf on that piece of property began to howl, and they all picked one pure note. So it was not like a pack of dogs howling, it was like a human chorus all around me. And so at this point, I'm not afraid because it's been 15 or 20 minutes, and if they were to eat me, they'd had 15 or 20 minutes. And also, if my Hungarian publishers really thought I was going to be mauled by wolves, they would have done this whole exercise at the end of my tour. And so I'm sitting there quite relaxed, but even being quite relaxed, with those wolves howling all around me, I felt the hairs on my arm and the back of my neck slowly stand to attention as something deep and primeval inside me said, "Maggie Stiefvater, you're going to die." And that really is the reason why wolves continue to inspire me. Also, this series, it was amazing to write this series because I can't think of any other animal that's so awesome and also so beautiful and so able to inspire terror, but also so incredibly beautiful that can sit right next to you sounding so human and be so far away. And also, without wolves, the series would just be about a girl who was really good at math and an emo boy who liked German poetry. So this is the part where I'm going to ask you guys if you have any questions or comments, but before I do, I'm going to tell a story to shame you guys into asking questions. I'm going to tell the story of my very first overseas tour when I went to the UK for Shiver, and all of my friends had warned me, the ones who had been overseas, it's a little difficult to do a school visit overseas, Maggie, because, you know, the cultural mores are a little different and the humor doesn't always translate. I'm very cavalier about it. I was like, I grew up watching BBC, I got this. So I get there and they bus in 6 different schools and all of the school children are wearing jackets, so it looks like I'm teaching at Hogwarts. And I give my talk that normally has American teams rolling in the aisles, and this is the British team. I'm thinking, wow, tough crowd. But I keep calm and carry on. And then at the end I say, as I always do, does anyone have any questions or comments? And there's nothing, just blinking raccoon eyes from the crowd. Still blinking raccoon eyes. A million blinking raccoon eyes. And just as I'm thinking, now is the time to run from the stage screaming, one little hand goes, "Ooh." In my head, he looks like Colin, the photographer kid from Harry Potter. But this might be because I just watched Harry Potter in my mind. So he stands up, very proper, and he goes, "Yes. Oh, I don't have a question. Oh, I just have a comment. Your accent is very cool." This didn't leave me much to work with, but luckily for me, this opened them all up and they started having tons of questions like, what airline provider did you come in on? Were your hotel accommodations comfortable? How to go back for such a long journey? It's like having a school visit with my grandmother. So I'm here to tell you that my hotel accommodations are fantastic. My hotel is actually, the room is bigger than my first apartment. I didn't have any airline. I'm flying Camaro. And I roll my clothing. I do such a long journey. And I already know my accent is very cool, y'all, so we're good. With that out of the way, does anyone have any questions or comments? Oh yeah, and if anyone says any spoilers about Forever, I will drag them behind the Camaro. I'm just warning you guys. Carry on. Comments? Raccoon? Yes.
When you first gave Shiver to your agent or publisher, did you have any idea on what you were unleashing to the public? Did you even have the slightest hope?
Well, it was not my first book, of course. Lament was my first book. And before I was a full-time author, I was a full-time portrait artist, which meant I was very poor. We ate a lot of ramen noodles. And when I sold Lament, it was very thrilling. I got a call from my editor. It was a smaller publisher. Guess what, Maggie? We're going to publish your book. And I went running out into the driveway, and I said, "Oh, I sold my book!" And my husband went, "Oh, we're buying a mattress!" And so, really, when I sent Shiver to my agent, who I only landed with Shiver, I didn't have an agent before, my hope was to be able to buy more than a mattress. I thought, a bedspread to go on top, or possibly pay the electric bill, which would be very thrilling. And so no, I had no idea. I thought it was this very strange thing. Nobody would want to read about werewolves. You never bothered to do the whole were thing. And German poetry and incomplete sentences, and I could just hear my teachers rolling over in their graves, so I had no idea. It was very shocking. Meanwhile, my husband, I met him when I was 19, and I told him, "So I know that I'm a poor young history student now, but one day I will be a rich and famous author, and I will keep you in the matter to which you're being accustomed." And so then Shiver sold, and then the movie rights were optioned, and then it sold in 38 different territories. And every single time I told these things to my husband, he went, "Oh, that's very cool." We sold moon rights. "Oh, that's very cool." "It's being read by Martians." "Oh, that's very cool." And finally, one day I just went, why aren't you ever surprised?" And he goes, "Oh, you told me." Anyway, questions? Yeah, all the way in the back.
You said you didn't have an agent before Shiver. How many agents did you send your manuscript to before it got picked up?
I could paper the walls of this room with my rejections. I will say also that my current agent turned me down for my first novel, Lament, so that when she actually took me on for Shiver, she said, "Oh my gosh, this manuscript, where have you been my whole life?" I was like, "In your inbox, check it." But I started writing very young. I was a tender little maggot. I still remember I was typing away on my dad's word processor, and he came over and said, "So Maggie, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "Oh, I want to be a writer." And he said, "Oh, you want to be poor?" Now, in his defense, I remember the novel that I was writing at the time. It was about two dogs test driving a car. They were Scottish Terriers. It was a red Porsche. And the first line of dialogue was, "It like hugs the road." So maybe not the stuff of bestsellerdom. But I did continue writing all through my teen years. I went through this brief period of 5 or 6 years where I was obsessed with all things IRA because I had seen the movie Patriot Games with Harrison Ford, and I proceeded to write all of these appalling IRA novels, all of which could be narrated by Harrison Ford or Sean Bean. And they were very bad, too. I found a fragment of one that I'd written when I was 16. It was this big kerfuffle between some Irish terrorists, and the scene had some Irish terrorists and some British soldiers and a dog and some bystanders and a flag, British flag flying overhead. And who do you think I chose to narrate that scene? Do you think I chose the terrorists? The soldiers? The bystanders? The dog? No, I chose the flag! And the last line of the scene was, "And the flag flew on above, uncaring, because it was, after all, only a flag." Anyway, so I earned about 75% of those rejection letters I could paper these walls with. So I will say that. For how many of you are aspiring writers? Good number. The business is fair. It's not always easy, but it is fair. When you're getting no, you're getting it for a reason. So I saw a hand over here. Yes.